Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Mopars.com. Out here in the shop trying to pass a little time, get some stuff done we need to take care of. And one of those things is this, that item right there, the Icon Professional Work Center light. If we take a look at Harbor Freight Zone jargon, it is item number 56553. This is of interest to people because this is something that, regardless of what hutch you have, or you might even have other applications for it, this is kind of just like plug and play. This is, yes, it's designed for the Icon box, but you could have a hutch from brand X, Y, or Z, and this thing will work. Right? You could have a little Husky, Milwaukee brand, whatever you got, an old Waterloo. If you've got somewhere you'd like to illuminate, this is something you could put into action. Now, it's important that I gave you that item number. This is something not stocked in the store. And of course, an even more obvious thing aside from an Icon would be US General. You can absolutely retrofit this to a US General, but you'll have to order it online, possibly have the store order it for you, but it's not something you can just walk in and walk out with, if you will. That said, it is a 3000 lumen LED light. It's a magnetic strip, as you might have guessed. There is an automatic sensor. It's going to turn the light on when the door is open. And as you can see there, they actually do spell that out. Compatible with US General Series 3 Work Center hutch. The light itself, I guess, is 4 foot. Again, pretty awkward box. And then it's got a 6 foot power cord. So, to crack this thing open, what are we working with? Well, that is what we're working with. So, foam kind of surrounding the ends. The center is just wildly exposed there. Interestingly enough, you kind of think it might have been wise to put some foam across the whole thing, or just in the middle as well, but it is what it is. Mine shipped to me. The box isn't terribly beat up, but you can tell it was, I mean, we got a tear over there. It wasn't like handled with the utmost care, but it looks like in here we will have directions. Fighting off a sneeze here. Sneeze one, my apologies. And then right there, I guess this must be magnetic, whatever's in this box. I'm having a heck of a time one-handing that. We've got a box, presumably, of accessories. Man. Didn't get to warn you about that one, but if you were wondering, like, hey, why is there awkward silence? That would be the case. Never a fan of cutting towards myself, but take my chances. So it looks like we've got some cord in here. We're probably going to have the AC adapter and, of course, a magnetic sensor. That's kind of like a old school Mercury switch type of a thing, I would assume. One of the reasons I'm making this video, number one, I think there's a lot of people that are kind of unaware of this, and two, the people that are, I see a lot of people kind of complain, like they say it's like difficult and doesn't make sense and doesn't work. So we're gonna figure it out, but it looks like we've got a control box. That's what I was gonna call it. This is a good thing because there's a power button. This very well, the way I've got this box set up, might be wise to have this accessible. The three setups here on the bottom, left to right, kind of hard to see, but it's lamp, magnet, and power, right? So conceivably, this rightmost port is going to go to your wall outlet. The magnet is going to run to the magnetic switch, I would guess, and the lamp will run to the LED light bar. This shows to be magnetic. Let's try. Oh yeah. Okay. I see all the time where people say, like, yeah, you know, there's a back hutch of Icon stainless. It's still magnetic. Okay, so don't be freaked out. Be like, oh, that's never going to work for this guy. We do have this. I don't know if it's supposed to be loose. I would assume it would go with the sensor somehow. It looks like there's some double-sided tape or Velcro, and then just the long cord. So let's see what they say to do. And if you're curious, I've not seen jack on this. We're going into it blind. I have heard people say that the instructions were left a bit to be desired and not very specific. So we've kind of ingeniously already outlined that, so we at least know somewhat what we're doing, right? Power button, lamp to the stick, magnet to a magnetic sensor. There is a loose magnet. Again, we'll probably need to affix that somewhere. And then there's extension cords. So yeah, we nailed that part. Go us. Right here, this schematic cutaway is going to be of the top hutch. We've got the door, so where it says door, picture it doing that. Okay, kind of retracting in. So it's oriented in that manner, meaning front of your hutch where my elbow is currently resting, and this would be the back of the hutch. So, just looking at the picture, not reading anything, you've got the light bar sort of in a recess, okay? Like, if you can see that on the drawing, this is flat surface of the door, and then there's like a intentional sheet metal work done there to create a trough, and that's looking like the light bar is going to plug in there. They want the magnet on the back side. There's your sensor. I don't know if I want mine on the back of the box. I'm guessing that would be right outside of that grommet for your cord. And then there's the outlet running that direction. So the official instructions, let's just go ahead and cover this. I'll keep you on the schematic. Place the light bar in recessed area on door. Simple enough. Place magnet on back side of bracket on door. I would assume in that case we're talking about that bracket. Black thing, I'm going to call that a hinge. That's a strut. Hinge. Funky cutaway to make the door function. And bracket, at least by my common sense vernacular. Use hook and loop tape, which does not seem to have been included. Maybe that's a hang-up point for people. Or maybe it's the stuff already on there. I don't know. To me, that would be like double-sided. Who knows? But use that to place a magnetic sensor on the inside of cabinet within 1 inch of the magnet. Clean the area with alcohol to remove any oil or grease before installing the sensor. Then we've got route the light bar and magnetic sensor cords through the hole on the back side of the cabinet. Control box, you want to plug the light bar into the lamp, plug magnetic sensor to magnet, plug cord into power, place control box on the back. Now, if you have easy access to the back, that's great. To me, it makes sense to have that box in here, so if I decide to leave this up and I don't need the hutch light on because I'm not going to be at the hutch, I'm going to be working on a car or something like that, I can kill it, right? Without shutting the hutch, which I wouldn't want to do. Picture, tools populated here, parts we're working on. I don't want to come and, got to turn the light out, so I pull the lid down. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just push a button, right? So I'm kind of, I guess, going for a dual purpose. I wonder if that's not what most people would prefer. Operation, plug the cord in, push power, close the door to turn it off. So again, we can have that set up, but we can also control it manually, and it's easier for me to have access to the power box somewhere. So this is the part of the video where I jump and try to figure out how to route everything. Keep in mind it's showing it, I'm showing you this corner, the right side. If you've got a wall outlet over here, or it like lines up perfectly, or this is just simply closer to one, put it on the left. If you need to come down low, do that. If you need to come down, up top, if you need to make a hole, whatever, right? You can do whatever is necessary to get this to function. But I'm going to play around and see what we think would be the best setup for our application. And nothing else matters. So basically, this is center section here. And we have that as reference, and we're just going to kind of do our own thing. All right, so this is the light bar out of its plastic sleeving in the box. You can see we do have a cord off of it. Not the longest thing in the world, but we'll try to make do. And if you wanted a left orientation, obviously, this would be where you'd want it. If you're OCD about things, there is some icon branding. And you'd be the only person that knows, but see how it's upside down right now? It looks like we've got no CI, right? Or no 3.1, something like that. It's actually icon, and if I flip this, you will perhaps see it a little bit better. Don't have a lot of room behind me here, but right there, if I don't smash this thing, finally, you can kind of see it. This was like the most idiotic thing I've ever dealt with to get to focus when you think it would be so simple. I guess the stainless surface is just kind of washing it out or something, but there's everywhere you see one of these pucks, which are just going to be like blobs. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is an icon badge. So if you cared about having that visible, legible, factor that in. But more importantly, if we come up here, we've got the lock cylinder, right? Going back on the door, you see flat blue, flat. Now you get to a little channel, okay, right here. Hopefully it conveys, you know, I've got my finger here, and now there's a step down, right? And it runs back to this segment. This channel is where they want the light. And now, obviously, 4-foot light, 73-inch hutch. Lid's going to be slightly smaller dimension. You can move this wherever you'd like. This is what the light looks like. If you're going to have junk over here, like a monitor maybe a mini PC or a laptop or some TV, stereo, speaker, what have you, and some junk there, and you've got it laid out or know what you're going to do, you might not want light back there. Or you might just simply prefer to have light over here where you're going to have more work area, right? So you've got a lot of adjustability there. The logical thing for most people to do would be to center it. We'll probably roughly do that and just adjust accordingly. But I've got it flipped around because, again, I do plan to go out that side, and we're going to see what we can't get done in terms of mounting it. Alright, behold the monstrosity that it is. This is totally functional, and I'll walk you through what we're doing. Aesthetically, it's not the most pleasing thing we could have, but it's functional, and that's what matters. So, where to begin? This plug right here, this sort of circular whistle-looking thing coming out, cord going down, that is actually the plug. The way this works, there's like a strip. You've got a plug that goes into the, I guess, charging drawer, and then one that goes up top to power the ports here. So essentially, you know, you've got that needs power, and you have this that needs power. They're two separate cords that come out of the box and then wire off into that plug. So that's what that is. The reason I wanted that here is, again, so I can essentially say I'm shutting up for the night. We're able to flip that, have this powered off, otherwise it'd just be on all the time. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, I'd like to have the control of off, right? So that takes care of that, and then I'm basically just running the power from the power strip to the wall, and that gives me one cord that I have to contend with, because keep in mind, I've got to have this box where I can roll it in and out to get to that part shelf behind it. So, not ideal, not the best setup, but it's what I've got, and it's okay. So, power from the strip to the wall, kick down there from the whistle plug, takes us to power, charging drawer, and the outlets on the front of the box. I don't know if I'll ever use those, ironically. Maybe I'll find myself doing it for reasons like this. You think, oh yeah, you're going to have a lot of ports here, dude. You just as well put like a charger. I would agree. You know, you got the generously sized one down here. That's where you get to the strip that's going to have 4 of them before you get to the USBs. Unfortunately for us, that stupid box, the power inverter for this LED light, is styled in a manner, you're thinking like, oh, it's plugged in up top and coming out. No, it's not. Those are USB ports. It's plugged in right there. So you've got an interesting situation here. You can either have it plugged in here and block 2 USB ports, or you can plug it in here and block, essentially, granted it's using 1, but you're taking up 3 slots. Or if you put it down here, it was just aesthetically the least pleasing with the cord. And it kind of occludes, if I get that cord out of the way, you can technically hit that switch. It's probably the best layout, in all honesty. Maybe I will switch it. But the main reason I had it up at the top and pointed up is to orient the cord. I can't change that without heavy modification. And that cord, of course, needs to run to that box. That box, you've got the 3 ports again. One goes to the light, the middle one goes to your magnetic sensor, and then the other one simply runs to that power supply. We did not need to use this ginormous extension cord. But really, if Harbor Freight and Icon would have just designed that little gem right there, you know, I don't know, maybe assemble one of these, test fit it, and have someone on the product development team that's like, you know, we need to downsize that box, or, you know, switch the plug. If the plug was just inverted 90 degrees, we would go from doing this to doing that. And this could stick out to the side, and you could still plug in LED strip light, charger 1 and charger 2, you know, accessory 1, clock, fan, whatever. It could all go there. The way they line that out, we can't do that. Interestingly, the way I have this set up right now to make this functional, instead of jacking with the door, okay, because again, I want to have this open and not have to have the light on. And you think, okay, we'll shut the lid. Well, it's like you can technically override that with the power switch, but I prefer a full manual setup, right? I don't have to have the, ooh, you know, the lid goes up and the light comes on. It's like, you know, do I really need the light on? Am I just like grabbing something quick grab here and going to go away and be somewhere dark in an engine bay? So to me, again, this is kind of the best setup in terms of functionality. Now, in terms of location, no, I'm not set on this, but if I come in and cable tie everything to that inverter box, we can kind of make it livable. This little loop up here, basically, just to prove this functions to you. You know what? Let's do this. We're going to turn this on. You can see it's powered up because it's connected to the wall. And then right here, just in case I forget to show it later, these are lit. It's kind of cool. It's a shame they're not like a little light strip above USBs and these, so you could, you know, see both, but whatever. It is there, and I can now flip that off, and I don't have power and I don't have illuminated USBs, which is fine. That's what I want, right? However, with this on, you'll note there's no light, and gasp, the lid is open. So what do? We come in and we press the big red button. Okay, that thing, it actually, like, I was okay with this, but then when you see that with the light on, you see 2 things. Number 1, how easy the stainless scratch is, but 2, that puts out a lot of light. Like, it's really nice. So the way I have it, if it's on, it's on. Like, I can either now go and push the red button to turn the light off, or I can just simply kill the power. But check this out. We're going to come in. I want to see if any light bleeds through this. We're going to shut this. Let's see. Yeah, light does. That actually looks really cool. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if you'll be able to tell. I think right there you get a feel for it. Like, that's the white LED light bleeding through. Super cool looking. Oh, and then, yeah, especially at the top you can tell. But, and that would be with the light now positioned in this area facing in, right? So, really cool. But let's open her up. And you can see, the light stayed on, because again, that's how I want it. So 2 options. We can either kill, which I hate doing. I'm real particular about this stuff. I always turn things off in sequence, just like a little thing about me, I guess. I don't like this visually, like the wiring monstrosity that it is, but it is functional. The proper way to do this for people that want this to swing on automatically when you open the lid, we would basically have the magnet here and the sensor just right, you know, about here. Okay, there's not really a great spot for it, the magnet, but I think it's doable. But this functions. It kind of keeps the wiring up out of the way. It doesn't pull anything or snap something off. It is what it is. The thing is, and what I'm considering doing here that's probably stupid, but might make things better, that power box, with the way it's oriented with the Icon nameplate, has the ports going down. So what I mean by that, by factory default, if you see like light bar control box and the icon logo, it wants the ports on the bottom. Now, I could shimmy that down this wall and flip it, but then it's upside down and it would bother me, the font, right? It's a minor thing. I'm kind of wondering about taking that thing apart and seeing if I can just flip the cover. And, I don't know if that's going to work. I'll have to think about it a second, but might be worth a shot, because then we could considerably clean things up, kind of get it out of sight, out of mind. But if I do cable tie that, I think it'll be about as good as it can be. Now, the saddest thing is you almost would like, especially if you're planning on chargers up top, another power strip, right? Or something that's laid out a little bit differently. I guess if you're not going to use the USBs, it's not a big deal. We'll have to see. And you can orient this any way you want to. It's just, this is kind of what worked and got it functional for me. So this will either be the end, or we'll come back for some like customization stuff. But yeah, if you're like me and you just want full manual control of this thing, this is an easy way to set it up, right? If you want the automatic, go buy the instruction manual, set the sensor up. Again, magnet, sensor, get it in proximity there with the hinge, and you ought to be okay. I could technically then maybe move the strip over. It's just those bottom ports, and they don't really seat well. I'm not a fan of the way those plugs are seating at all. That's another perk of going top down. Let gravity work on the connection, you know. But not bad at all, and functional, and again, tons and tons of light. So once more, boom, there's your light location, just in case you forgot. I can't really back up super far, I got vehicles in here, but there you go. So I'm not a huge fan of like the color temperature gradient on that back wall. I guess if I had like a shader type of a thing, or this was like cantered a bit, it might offset that, but it's all right, and it does give a nice bit of light. Real question will simply be, how long does it last, right? You know, if you run this thing all the time, you know, like you get there, you know, 8 a.m., you leave at 6, how long does your light go? You know, if you shut up for lunch, if you shut up when you're going to be, you know, bay across the shop type of a thing, you get better life out of it. I can't answer that. If you've bought one of these, again, you got to realize, you know, like this has been around 4 or 5 years possibly. If it's frequently used, or even if it's just like DIY weekend warrior type of a time frame, like, have you had the light go out? Has the light given you problems? Was it great until it just burned out? As best I know, to get this, you'd have to buy the whole set. Could be mistaken. The other thing that really worries me, I'm not too impressed with the control box. Just, again, the connections are a telltale sign. If you don't have that right, why would I trust the internals, you know? So that remains to be seen. I think it could have been tweaked and made a bit better, pretty easy, but it's functional, and I've got it set up the way I want it with full manual control. It's just, to me, this is the better way to do it, and I'm happy. And I've got the box tied in on the same thing, so it all works. But with that said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Most importantly, I hope this kind of helps you out. If you're struggling with this, or trying to figure out a way to do it, I'll try to have some bonus content for you where I clean this up a little bit. But if not, you'll see it in like an upcoming video. But LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, you jump your charger across the creek, you pick up an icon toolbox with the light bar, and you wire it up, and you're happy with the configuration. YouTube just might notify you. We got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. That said, thanks so much for watching, and I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop. Oh, now I know what you're thinking, like, oh no, that idiot really did it, didn't he? And yeah, this is the cover, and here's what I was hoping. I was hoping that would come off about like that, and I was hoping I had a clamshell that mirrored it on the backside, and we don't. And the reason we don't is because of that piece right there. I thought it was going to be like, you you know, 3 components basically. It's not. This is like one piece. Now I could technically come in and Dremel that out, but then the problem is when I flip it, we're gonna have an open edge type of a thing, and you know, dust would get in, whatnot, internal electrics exposed. So we'll roll with it like it is, I guess. But it would have been nice if we could have just pulled that off again, but it's not meant to be, so we'll roll with it as it was. Name that taillight. Just kidding. That's right here. It's still tentative, I'm not gonna lie, because again, I've got to see how well this works rolling in and out when I need to access that shelf. But this is the power strip. This is actually going back in. This is to plug in the top power strip on the box itself and the charging drawer. I've got everything loosely cable tied, and then boom, blue US General hook, pretty close paint match. I just, for support, have converse cable ties there. So that is kind of there. And like I said, I literally am going to have to do this from time to time, go in and out. And if I take you back up here, boy, the smell of Goo Gone, I'll tell you what, that stuff actually works. Like it gets crud off. And crud, what am I talking about? When I was wiring this thing, like trying to clean it up a little bit, dadgum, that stupid sticker right there, warning label on that power box, it had adhesive super glue. I use super with emphasis, all up and down, like probably 8 inches of that thing. I try detailer, nothing works. Glass cleaner doesn't work. I'm like, okay, I'll use some of that degreaser. That's chemical, guys. Those sprayers suck. It doesn't work. And then frickin' Goo Gone, instant gratification. So it just seems to work repeatedly. With that said, though, this is still not anywhere near ideal, but it did clean up, and that's what we've done. So it's a little difficult to see. I guess we could turn on a light, couldn't we? Okay, I was hoping it would work. I was like, should have tested that maybe. But what we've done right there, I just kind of cleaned that up. Somewhere in this shop, I've got magnetic fasteners that will let me basically pin that. I think if I play my cards right and position it just right, I can minimize that completely. So we're basically just going to deal with that. Using the magnet capabilities of our power strip, I've actually kind of sandwiched that in an optimum position that ensures the door can function up and down. As I mentioned, we were going to cable tie the power supply. Bundled it up like 20 foot, very generous cord on that one. We got it bundled up, not ideal, but good enough. And then what I'm the most proud of isn't necessarily that that's 1, 2, 3 drop down configuration, but that you're not really going to see that, especially when there's tools. I spend more time trying to get that magnet, not the sensor magnet with a double-sided tape, which I could take off and make it look a lot cleaner, but that thing behind it. It's the one that used to be shiny. It's in blue tape, and I will tell you right now, what I did is I took the cut end of a cable tie. I don't have one here because I've not cut any of the others, but I took a cut end of a cable tie, and that's going to allow me to actually like fish a trim tool underneath that thing. I'm just going to go ahead and do it right there. Hopefully you can tell, and that will let me pry that stupid thing off, because I assure you it's a nightmare that you don't want to experience. So a wrap with masking tape, just to be safe, protect the finish a little bit, and then a piece of cable tie, just the cut end, the very tip of it, and wrapped it back with masking tape the other direction, and I can now kind of get the forks of a pry tool off, and life is easy. If I ever decide to switch back to how this is supposed to be or what have you, it's going to be so much easier. I use some pliers that I can't talk about because we're not at 10,000 subscribers, but they wouldn't pick that thing off, and they did get hellaciously magnetized. Now, they come from the factory with subtle magnetism, which I don't like. They got like insane, like I could hang them off stuff insane. And I used that little Klein demagnetizer. I didn't figure it'd work. I had this tiny little star washer on the roll cart, didn't pick it up at all. So very happy with that. I decided when I tried, one of the things, fruitless attempts to get that magnet off was with this thing. I had these hanging off the Husky, a blue and a green one. I'm actually gonna keep this here now. So slowly but surely we're gonna move into the new box. there's still nothing of interest, I suppose, outside of the Mac stuff. But yeah, that's what we've got. Proof of concept here. Boom! Light out, light on. Doesn't get hot at all. That's the real beauty of LED stuff. But yeah, I think it cleaned up decent. You know, like, I mean, that down there I could technically cable tie too, but it almost just looks like one cord the way I did it. Everything's clear. I shut and caught the magnet on my trim a second ago. I'm gonna let you try to see how that articulates. It does a really good job of staying put. So there's that. We've got the same light bleed, which I think looks cool. If I were to back up and... what is that? Huh. There's like a major blemish on the lid. Didn't know it was there. Boom. Looks just like it did before I shut it, right? And again, the way I routed that, especially if we got that up, I'd want to leave it loose so it had a little bit of play. If it needs it, I'll test it all. But that might be as good as it gets for this setup. So, not textbook, not what you're supposed to do, not what they want you to do, but it's what I wanted to do, and so I did it. And if you're like me and you just think, you know what, the automatic is cool. If I had someone over here and I was like, check this out, you know, yeah, it might be like, whoa, you know, that's cool. But, you know, the novelty wears off, and I would just want it this way anyway. So, jumping the gun and getting it the way that I think I would enjoy it the most. I am very worried about the lifespan of the control box. I also don't have a good track record with inverters and stuff like that. But, we'll see. Again, I'm not going to run this all the time. It'll just going to kind of treat it like a specialty tool. It's when I'm actually here working. If I leave here to go do something across the shop or back on a car, that thing's going off, right? Unless I'm going to come right back. So hopefully that will prolong the life of both the light and the control box, which that is the thing that worries me. Simple when we got into it, but again, those connections just are not good. Like, that bothers me. That should seat fully. But yeah, I'm happy with this thing now. I hope you are too. Bonus, we got the back end sort of cleaned up. Not perfectly, but again, I left the cable ties in place so I can cut them, find them easy. And we might change things, or if I get to like set this up permanently type of a thing, we'll go in and tweak it. But I think for now, having to come in and out and wanting full control of this light, and it works, I can now push this back and start populating the thing, which is the fun, super cool part of a new toolbox. So bonus features here are taken care of. And with that, I think the bonus content is wrapped up. But let me know what you did here. Again, did you do like a textbook installation? Or were you like, man, I don't like this, I'm going to swing it my way? And if so, what is your way? What do you think is the ideal setup? Again, for me, I just want the manual control. I'm not concerned about instant on and off. There's going to be a lot of times I open this hutch to grab something and I don't care if the light's on. There will be other times if I'm sitting here tracing out a wiring schematic from a 69 service manual. Yeah, the light might be really nice. So maybe we'll shoot videos here. I don't know. That's not super bright in the box, but I guess maybe if it adjusted, I'll play with that. It doesn't matter. But the stuff looks decent, I guess. We'll have to see. But anyway, I'll quit rambling. Hopefully this was helpful to some degree. And again, if you're like me and you think, man, I wish I could just full manual control that, that's how I did it. You can invert the lamp and the power and make it happen, but then it loses some capability. I think this is the best way. If you pull the double-sided tape off of that, and you would have used like an aluminum tape or something, you could make that all blend in a lot better. But I'm fine with it like this, especially as I'm kind of feeling the box out and getting to know it. If we tweak it, I'll update you. If not, this is functional for now, and that's what I was after. So I will say, I mean, I do, again, this is the fanciest toolbox I've ever had, and that's kind of a cool touch. You know, I wish it was like RGB and I could make it strobe and, you know, dance to music. But hey, that's another nerdy level for another nerdy day. And with that said, I should find somewhere. I thought I knew where they were and I was wrong. It might be in my littlest cart. But if I put one of those little fasteners up there to pull that back, it'll look a lot better there too. So with that said, thanks for watching. Feel free to share what you did, what you think would be good, any tips and tricks for anyone that happens upon this, looking for some install advice or different options. And with that, I hope I catch you back for more from the Icon Toolbox.